Hi, I'm Yuka Sato. When you think of Japan and sports, which sports do you imagine are the most popular here? Naturally, traditional Japanese martial arts such as sumo, judo, and karate are widely followed. In ball sports, baseball has been a longtime favorite, and soccer has also become big here with the establishment of a professional league. There are numerous other ball sports, but one in particular has rapidly developed in recent years and is drawing crowds of fans. It's basketball. Over the next two editions of Channel Japan, we'll be introducing you to this exciting world of Japanese b-ball. We spoke first with Chris Sasaki, who has long been involved in the Japanese basketball scene. What's the situation right now with women's basketball in Japan?
Japanese women basketball players are recognized globally for their abilities. They started being closely watched, particularly at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics and at the 2004 Athens Olympics, as well as the 2016 Rio Olympics, where they made it to the quarterfinals. In terms of average height, they are probably the smallest among participating countries, but they're extremely quick and can make very precise outside shots. And because they're fast-paced, they throw off their opponents and can break away. This kind of playing style has been recognized around the world. So, it's even possible to say that they're aiming for the gold medal at the Tokyo Olympics. That's how capable the players on this team are.
We also spoke with Tom Hovis, the head coach of the national team.
I am very proud.
Would you give us your assessment of the Japanese national team's position and abilities compared to rivals around the world?
Yeah, I think right now we're ranked 10th in the world, but over the last 3 or 4 years, we've beaten the world number 2 3 times. We've been very competitive with America and Canada and Spain. Yeah, I think even though we're ranked 10, I think we're probably one of the top 5 teams in the world. So our goal for the Olympics is to win a gold medal. And we really believe it, our staff believes it, our players believe it, and I believe that a lot of our fans are starting to come around as well and think we have a chance. Our style of play is completely different than, for example, the USA or Australia or China. We're much shorter than other countries, but we're very fast. We shoot a lot of three-pointers. Our transition basketball is very quick. We have great spacing. We're a really good passing team. So all of the elements for good team basketball, that's what we really strive for. It's not one person, it's not one superstar. We're a team. And I think that gives us a very good chance.
Mr. Hovis also played on the Japanese team in the past and spoke about the characteristics of building a team unique to Japan.
When I worked for Toyota years ago, Toyota didn't invent the car, but they made a very good car. They took the car and made it better, right? They made it cleaner, they made it easier, they made it, it sounded better when you close the doors, just small little details. And I'm trying to do that with basketball, like taking the details to another level where we can execute that. And I think that's a very Japanese thing. You know, you take something and you try to make it better. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to do with the game of basketball on the women's side right now. Using these details, little details that other countries really aren't exploiting as much as we are, to our advantage.
Meanwhile, how well is men's basketball faring? Japan is slated to play in the Olympics for the first time since 1976. Since the launch of the professional B.LEAGUE in 2016, interest in the sport has been growing like never before. We asked Chris Sasaki how he sees recent developments.
I think Japanese men's basketball really started to draw attention and become big with the birth of the professional league. Leagues that were scattered were unified to create B.LEAGUE, and I think that led to a big wave.
We spoke with the chairman of B.LEAGUE, Shinji Shimada.
It became clear that fans were also cheering the teams and that the number of fans was growing. Also, with support from many fans, the players felt that they had to up their game and worked harder. Their competitive level as well as their professionalism have improved. As a result, they've earned the ticket to play in the Tokyo Olympics for the first time in 44 years. In terms of how big they've become in the eyes of the public, I think it's very significant, much more than we imagined. In terms of their ability, I think they're the strongest men's basketball team we've had. Compared to the rest of the world, there's a sense of resignation when you consider Japan was 31st out of 32 participating countries at the 2019 World Cup. But this isn't a problem unique to Japan. For example, if you look at the Rio Olympics, China, which is the Asian champion and has been leading Asian basketball for a long time, has a basketball playing population of 300 million. Even they weren't able to win a single game against US and European teams. The Japanese team this time is undoubtedly the strongest we've had, but the hurdle is still very high on the international level. Even at the Olympics, we need to first win a game, and that will be a historic first step.
Two Japanese players, Rui Hachimura and Yuta Watanabe, currently play in the NBA, the home of basketball. Their achievements have also been a big boost to the sport's popularity in Japan.
I never imagined seeing two NBA players on the courts at the same time. I didn't think it would happen in my lifetime. It's like seeing something that happens once in a century right in front of my eyes. I'm sure boys and girls playing now are looking at them, dreaming of what they themselves can achieve in 5 or 10 years. I think it's a paradigm shift for basketball. The more the two of them play, the better the level of Japanese basketball will become. I believe basketball can become even bigger here in Japan.
B.LEAGUE also recently adopted a special Asian player quota system. Players from China, Taiwan, South Korea, the Philippines, and Indonesia are given priority to playing games.
Asia, unlike Europe and the US, has many players with a distinct rhythm of play. One reason is that by welcoming those players, we can develop a competitive environment to consistently win Asian tournaments. The other is the business aspect. By making a rule like this, from the perspective of Asian sponsors, broadcasting rights, and marketing, we believe we can develop good collaboration to scale up as a business.
Using the special Asian player quota system, Neo Phoenix signed 30 Ravenna, who's said to be the #1 student player in the Philippines. We spoke with Kenjiro Hongo, who heads the team.
The B.LEAGUE is entering its 5th season, and I think we need games to heat up. Players from overseas tend to be somewhat bigger. So for our forwards and guards to improve, we can bring in players like him through the special Asian quota and raise the level of Japanese teams. The level of our teams will also significantly improve, so I think it's very beneficial. It's a wonderful system for Japanese basketball in general.
Japanese basketball for me is very fast, not like in the Philippines. I was used to um, playing a little slower, but it's just an adjustment that we have to make, all of us imports, and you know, Japan's a very tough. They have a very tough style because they just keep passing the ball, so you have to keep running, and they dribble less, and they have a lot of shooters, so it's a challenge, but you know, I have to adjust, just like what I said earlier. So hopefully I'm able to do it.
Being able to directly compete and improve with overseas players will strengthen our team at the Olympics and also help the sport in Japan to grow. If we're to aim for a better result at the Olympics, we need to see this regulation positively and take on various challenges. In that way, the league will improve, and I think it's wonderful.
We listened to some of the key people looking forward for the future of Japanese basketball.